Hello and welcome to episode 3 of season 3 of the podcast for the recently deceased. I'm Nate Roberts.
I am Rodney Godek. 3 for 3. What's up, brother?
Well, we've been saying all night January was a bad month for horror, especially coming off the banger year 2022.
Bangers and
And
mash.
we possibly have the the big cheese here for January anyway. Tonight, we'll be talking about Skinamarink, written and directed by Kyle Edward Ball, starring Darkness. Um, two
My old
children.
friend.
Two children wake up in the middle of the night to find their father is missing, and all the windows and doors in the home have vanished. This movie is absolutely terrible. Do not go see this movie. Um, Now we're going to talk about it.
All right. So let me take the good cop version real quickly.
Sure, sure.
Skinamarink, for those that were have been under a rock in the horror community, it's an experimental art film, art horror film, I suppose. I use some of those terms lightly. It's what it's penned as. That's what they say. Written and directed by Cal Edward Ball. He has a YouTube series that he made. This is an expanded version of one of the shorts that he created on YouTube that really delves into what people like to call liminal spaces, the spaces between one another where anything could occur. And this is not a film in a traditional sense. This is an experience. This is a film consisting of lots of images with very grainy, soft focus, light illuminated from a television set, and very little else. No direct narrative, even explanations to what occurs in the movie is not really actually accurate to what occurs in the film that you're watching, or it would be a stretch to jump to that conclusion without being told. And it's a phenomenon that some people are absolutely enthralled and in love with, and some people absolutely detest and think is the bane of existence for a horror film. Nate and I both are on the same side of this spectrum, and we think this is a garbage movie. If movie and movie is in air quotes, it is
Yeah.
not a movie.
Yeah, movies and air quotes, and I can understand some people enjoying this in a certain setting where you're watching it to not watch it as a film, but to watch it as a series of what I would call moving pictures. I might, this film, once again, in quotes, might be better described as a moving picture related to like, in the 20s or 30s when it was just some footage, some random
Yeah,
footage, and
but
then some screens of like, this is what's
it,
happening.
so you're saying like more or less like there's nothing there. The we
Yeah,
you know the only way to find this interesting would be if we never saw a fucking movie in our life, and the fact that there were images strewn together that
yeah,
were looking like they were alive, I'd be
yeah.
interested because of that fact.
If you didn't know that movies
I-
existed and this was the
yeah,
first thing you ever
if I
saw,
never any context of what a real movie is supposed to do or be, this would
yeah,
be amazing.
you'd be
But
like,
as such, I
pretty
have
interesting.
seen a movie, and I know this is not one. So we're kind of at a
Yeah.
at a fucking disadvantage here.
Yeah.
All right.
So
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 how do you feel?
real quick,
Christ.
yeah, let's just get over this so we can talk about what we saw. I gave it a 1. I think it's my first one as
1 out of
well.
10.
I give it a 1 out of 10.
Okay. I gave it just the tiniest bit of more acknowledgement, and I gave it a 2 out of 10.
Okay.
Uh, I don't know why
Th-
necessarily.
That's
Maybe because I don't
interesting.
think it deserves a true 1 out of 10.
That's interesting.
But I'm very hard on this movie.
You usually give the I usually give the higher score is what I'm trying to say. So
This is true.
that's
Yeah, you're
interesting.
usually more considerate when we hate something. You kind of give it the benefit of the doubt.
No,
And I
not
definitely,
this. This was
yeah.
terrible. This is terrible. To start, I'm going to reference that all the windows and doors in their home have vanished in the plot synopsis, to where no, they
You're calling
haven't.
bullshit. Yeah, no.
we actually get to see them vanish. So they haven't just vanished. The kids aren't finding wall where the door was. They're seeing the door, and then they're getting to see it disappear in
And
what
reappear.
in what can only be described as, yeah, as two still images kind of flickering, and then them just like leaving the wall space still image.
Yeah.
So a lot of this movie is not actually like shot on film. Like I think it is
Well,
just photos, and then
no, it's
they
all no,
like
it's all film.
it's all film. All right. Well, he
I
doesn't
believe
move
it
the
is.
camera then, and it
No, yeah, it
looks
just
like a
sits. It just
photo.
sits.
Yeah,
Right.
it just sits there, and then it hard cuts to another sitting still image, and you just tons and tons of still dark imagery over and over and over again. The kids are interacting off screen,
Yeah.
and you hear them talking. The only time you see a character is when you see their mother, and she has like
Hmm.
10 seconds of screen time,
Right.
and might have been the only interesting moment of the film. Like
Sure.
the only
Some
time
of the more,
I was
the
like,
more
oh my god, something's
unnerving
gonna
dialogue.
happen,
Right.
and it didn't. No,
So what the
it
film is
kind of did.
trying to do is the film is trying to occupy this weird spot in your mind where you put yourself in the shoes of a child, waking up at night and being scared of the dark and not sure of what's going on, and like your vantage point is that of a child where you're kind of just looking off in the distance at whatever. But for me, just none of it really works. I have to completely detach what I would, and really like look at it under this critical art lens if I'm going to try to get anything out of this to see if I can respect it in that lane, because it's not going to trigger me emotionally. Come True triggers me emotionally on levels because it's doing things artfully. It has a certain sense of mood and atmosphere through music, light, dialogue, acting that puts me in the scene. And this film says, fuck all of those forms of filmmaking. I don't care about a single fucking one. I care about what's up in my brain. And I'm going to show you images that are pretentious and lofty ideas that could occur. You could come to this conclusion on your own if you had my intellect or my brain. It's extremely pretentious, and I know for a fact it's pretentious because this motherfucker Kyle Edward Ball has been on interviews in his goddamn snow cap, frumpy hat, long hair, chewing gum like a
Chewing
piece of shit.
gum. Oh,
Okay, if you saw The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, there's a scene where Bill Murray and Owen Wilson are on the deck trying to have a conversation about what the fuck's up. Like, why are you kind of giving me shit? And Gwyneth Paltrow, right? No,
yep.
not Gwyneth Paltrow. Yeah, Gwyneth
Yeah,
Paltrow.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
She comes up behind Owen Wilson, and Bill Murray acknowledges her. She's just standing there chewing gum, and he's like, What are you doing? What do you want?" And she's like, "Nothing." That's this director. Don't inject yourself and just act holier than thou. And that's Kyle Edward Ball. He's holier than thou. He has all the great ideas, and he's making this art film that you should all bow before because it's so smart and creative. And it's not. This is a student film at best. This is a B level student film,
This
and it should be
it should have been
about fucking
it should have been 11
15 minutes long.
minutes. Yeah, it should have been 11 minutes. So it could make the short submission cut off, and
Yeah. And
and
then be
that's it.
done with it. Be proud of yourself and go the fuck home. Do not waste anyone's time. This film it was released, and I think that the whole thing was a goddamn gimmick. I'm wearing a tinfoil hat on this conspiracy theory. I believe that it was intentionally leaked from the festival at which I think it was Fantasia Fest that it
Sure,
premiered at last year, because it was leaked without a watermark or anything else that is atypical. Leaks never occur like this. You never see a
sure.
fucking movie. How many movies do we want to see that never get released? Even ones that we don't want to see, they don't get released.
Yeah,
I think it was intentionally released in an effort to draw this attention and awareness. Like, people are talking about, oh, I've seen it. Have you seen it? People condoning and virtue signaling. You can't pirate it. Why are you pirating it? Support the art, you piece of shit. So then everyone's like, oh, well, I want to support the art. I got to see it whenever it comes out. Oh, Jesus. And then it's like it causes a big hubbub, and it's about nothing. It's fucking Waiting for Godot. There's nothing there, dude. So I think it's all just a hype train.
yeah.
$15,000. and this piece of shit has managed to scrounge up 2 mil in box office. I'm glad people have spent money to see it, but I'm double glad that people have responded as audiences to say, hey, you know what? Fuck you. We don't like this. This
Yeah.
is bullshit.
Yeah, speaking of, let's bring back the old IMDb and oh, whoops, that's the wrong
The
movie, but
Google
that's okay.
reviews out of 344 currently has it as a
And a
2.2, with
2.2, and
most people rating a 1.
look at that one stat. Look at that one stat.
You love to see it
You,
sometimes.
you do, and today's one of those days. Now, if you go to IMDb, it's got like a 5.1. Rotten Tomatoes has it
72
at
critic, 44 audience.
4.
44
Oh,
audience.
44.
And it's like, they try to couch it like it might be
That's too
scary for
high.
some, but for a lot, it'll be frighteningly dull. And it's like, no, yeah, guys, you're fooling yourselves if you think it's a real movie. It's not.
Yeah. All right, so let's get rid of that
Some people think it's the scariest thing. Nate, is it fair to just show nothing and then show dark things,
then.
which are inherently scary? Something in the dark that you don't know what could be there is
Yeah.
inherently scary. If you detach and you want to be scared, it elicits a scary feeling and
Oh,
mood.
sure, sure.
Is it
It.
fair to then blare your goddamn eardrums with a loud noise
Yeah.
to get the scare? Is that
So,
fair?
so that's funny. That was the one review that I read that I really connected with. The guy, it was like one sentence of a review, and it was like, "Hey, guess what? If you show me nothing but darkness for 20 minutes and then play a really loud noise, I'm gonna jump."
Yeah, absolutely. It's not it wasn't creative or interesting. It wasn't you concocting this special spell of sceneries and things and dialogue to lull me into this weakened state to then surprise me with something interesting. It was nothing and then something, and I jumped because of that. Like inherently, it's insanity to consider this film anything but that.
Yeah,
I don't understand, and I will reiterate as I have several episodes now. This is a concern for the horror industry as we lead into 2023. Uh, please go into more as to what something more specific that you really hated, or just go off a little bit more about Skinamarink. I want to hear it because
uh, you want me to talk about Stinkamarink?
absolutely,
About Shittimer
yeah.
Shittimerdink?
1 hour and 40 minutes of shit on my face, Marink.
Oh my God, this movie. Okay, so there were moments, right? Like you said, I do try to give these people the benefit of the doubt. So I was in. I was like, all right, show me the art, show me the horror, scare me a little bit. Um, where's the story? I'm just like waiting. Where's the story? Like this could be so cool. The doors are disappearing, the windows are disappearing, the kids are running around. How are they gonna eat? The mom shows up, then she all of a sudden eyeless, but then she disappears and we never see her again. What the fuck, man? Why do we never see the mom again? We didn't see her die. She just disappeared, right? Then like one of the kids dies, and then the other kid's alone, and we never see him either. And then it says like 365 days later, how's this kid eat for a year? Is
And
the monster feeding him?
none of it makes sense, and it doesn't have to in his world. Like you said, like there's no logical way to explain any of it, and I can be on board for not having understanding. There's a lot that happens in movies that I'm like, wait, what? And I still loved the experience, but this is not that. This is like cheap. This doesn't feel fair. uh you mentioned the mother and what happens. Like that's the thing. Like the way that it's shot and the jumping of there's no chronological order seemingly to the scenes,
Right.
so you don't really know how to approach it. And then whenever they do that whole door trick thing where they show it, don't show it, show it, don't show it, it's like, well, wait, what am I experiencing? Am I looking at something as the child, or am I looking at something as the entity? Uh, is that really what I'm seeing that's happening? Is this happening now? Did this happen already?
So they
Uh,
they they also like used that. wah 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 wah, blink 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 blink, blue, like like fucking cartoony space noise when the doors and windows disappeared. So it was like
Oh,
okay,
right, yeah, the
like
hammy
okay,
thing, like
yeah,
fucking Dawn of the Dead in the
yeah.
mall where they're doing silly sound effects and the zombie's getting his arm chopped off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like when that's happening, I'm like, okay, all right. So what is this? Is this like an alien thing? All right, dad got abducted. All right, mom's getting like, what's happened because of all the disappear? Like it's
Yeah,
just
there's
blinking
the
out.
the kid
Like
falling early on. Did something happen to the kid, and now all of this is just in his mind? I don't
I don't
know.
know, and they don't
And
tell you.
no, but and it's like that's what's so frustrating about a lot of cerebral conceptual art is that the artist hides behind the air of authorship and authoritative like understanding where you don't get to know. You don't get to know unless you've got the my intellect or my understanding or my ability to comprehend this stuff. And you live in a fantasy world. I lived in this fucking world. I said bye-bye to this world. I was in grad school for art and painting, and it's like people want to talk about art in this conceptual sense. Like I'm looking at fucking nothing. This is stupid. You just have a random pile of shit in the corner of the fucking room, and we're grown ass adults talking about it like it's a goddamn real thing that you did. No one cares. No one. What are you doing? And it's just for people that are at the same little want to occupy the same little headspace of jerking each other off. That's all that this is for. Uh, and unfortunately, I think through inappropriate gimmickry as far as its release and it leaking, I think that it hoodwinked a lot of people into putting money into experiencing it, thinking that they might get something special and being completely disappointed, opening up fucking clothes on Christmas morning and not a Nintendo 64. And so kudos
Yeah,
on him for, for
yeah,
pulling
yeah.
the wool over
No,
our eyes.
I seriously feel when it was over, I'm like this was World's Fair. This, this is 2023's World's Fair.
Yeah.
It just happened early. Thank God. I hope it doesn't happen again. Because the hype around World's Fair and once again the simplicity, low budge of that film,
Mm.
it's very similar. Like Skinamarink, definitely a worse movie because there's no plot or
Oh,
actors
yeah,
or
dude. I'd watch World's Fair a dozen times before I rewatch
whoever.
this.
Yeah, yeah. I'm never gonna rewatch Skinamarink, nor am I ever gonna let anyone I know watch Skinamarink or ever recommend
Yeah.
it ever to
It's
anyone.
insanity. It's I can appreciate conceptual art and ridiculous. I used to love Robert Ryman. Robert Ryman is an artist that was known for minimal paintings. It was just white canvases. I loved that because back then, but there's really nothing fucking there. It was interesting because it was the first person to do it, and like it was changing representational art and expressionism. It was a reaction to all this loud, obnoxious fucking art. It was calm and still, and it was nothing, and it made sense, and it was creative. Like, oh well, we didn't fucking think of that and do that. You can't do that in film any fucking more. It's all been done.
Yeah.
This is stupid. Why do you hate yourself and everyone around you to make them suffer the hour 40 to live through this fucking work?
All right, I
You
think
should have
we're.
killed yourself in high school.
I feel like we're beating a dead horse here. Um, uh, for
I'm
episode
sorry.
4, I gave it a 1. He gave it a 2. For episode 4, or I'm sorry, for episode 3 of season 3 of the podcast for the recently deceased, this has been Skinamarink. Stay tuned.
We'll see you next time. Take care.